What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Yet hope remains.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy, and we're back with another Diablo 3 video. Season 35, when will it start? What will the season theme be? This is going to be a complete speculation video. I'm not in the know, unfortunately guys. I'm just like you, refreshing my Blizzard Diablo 3 forum in the hope that we do see Pez Radar with the blue posts, or I think they may be the yellow now, blue post saying this is when the season's going to start and this is the goodies we're going to get. But we can only speculate at the moment, so that's what we're going to do today. Before we do get going, as always guys, a thumbs up brightens my day. Footage in the background is of DMO Magic Missile T16, which is a very unique build to Season 34, which I've only put together in the last couple of days, just when trying to fiddle about with my wizard, and yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Season 34 has been a big success. I really enjoyed it. I've had quite a few things IRL, which has just meant that I have bailed on it probably earlier than I wanted to. I don't feel terribly motivated to pick it up again because I'm anticipating Season 35 will be just around the corner. I've been kind of thinking that for about 2 weeks now, waiting for the post to drop so I can drop my video. But yeah, I thought maybe we'll just talk about things today. So of course, Season 34 started on the 31st of Jan. We know that a Diablo 3 season normally lasts about 90 days, so that would put us around about the 31st of April, which, as I'm sure you're well aware, was probably about 2 weeks ago. Now, at the start of Season 34, we had this just absolutely god-awful situation where Blizzard had decided we're going to start Diablo 4 and Diablo 3 seasons pretty much on top of each other, and understandably people were like, that's pretty stupid and we shouldn't do it. So we ended up in a situation where Season 34 was kicked back until the 31st of Jan to give Diablo 4 a little bit of breathing space before we launched the new Diablo 3 season. Now, Diablo 4 Season 8 actually started on the 29th of April, so it looks like we're getting this breathing space once again. How long this is going to be, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm not entirely sure. We are going to have to kind of wait and see how it goes. Now, of course, Blizzard will have some kind of internal stats where they'll know roughly how many players bailed on D4 to go look at D3. There'll be a kind of like player retention curve. And I'm not saying that Diablo 3 is the only reason people stop playing Diablo 4, but they will have it in their mind that it might well be simply best to give them like a month breathing space. So that would potentially put us launching at some point, maybe around about next week, 16th. Of course, we haven't had any notice of that, so that is pretty much going to be out. So I think the earliest the season can start now is probably going to be the 23rd of May. That would be with notification this coming week that the season will finish on the 18th and starting on the 23rd. But of course, that isn't the only opportunity. We could be a week further down the line with that. Could be the 30th of May, could be the 6th of June. If I really had to be pushed, I'd guess the 23rd and hopefully the 30th at the absolute latest. But as I say, I've got no ITK knowledge, so this is not me telling you when the date's going to be. That's just my speculation. As I say, I was kind of hoping we'd be there already, but it is what it is. Now, moving forwards, I think this means that we will have this kind of mirroring of Diablo 4, whereby it'll be 3 weeks later at the very earliest, maybe a month in between. For some people, that'll be great. I personally don't really enjoy Diablo 4 that much. That might change over time, in which case this kind of like separation will be good. But at the end of the day, we have no date. We can only go with our gut feeling of how we think it's going to kind of fall together. So let's move on to the season theme. What we've had since they've decided there's no more updates, no more balance changes, no more number changes. We've had the Lords of Hell, which was the Soul Shards. Probably the most powerful, I think, of all the season themes that we're going to have access to. Because, of course, I don't think we're going to get the Altar full power, although that is potentially an option. And we've also had the Open Cube, so that was the Forbidden Archives. That was really good for Necromancer. Really fun for kind of like utility and casual play, but in general, pretty much it was Necrofest. Ethereal Memory came next, which was a very strong season theme and a lot of fun because pretty much all the classes got a really big kick out of this. Good fun finding the ethereal weapons. Then came the Shades of the Nephilim, which was the 4th cube, and the clones. Again, bit of a Necrofest because Necro just always benefits from those extra cube slots, all the flexibility of it. And then most recently, Season 34 has been Lights Calling, Angelic Crucibles. Again, quite a strong season theme. Certainly one of my favourites. Finding the Crucibles, upgrading the items, finishing out your build, and all that kind of stuff. All absolute bangers. Now, I'd say the only one that is potentially left as an absolute banger was, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, if they give us the Altar of Rites at its like full strength. So the season when it was actually came into the game, if they did for one season, said, right, we're going to max the altar up to its full juice as it was back in the day, that could be interesting. We might want to combine that with something else just so that the builds are a little bit different, but it's certainly an option. Season theme started in season 14, so we haven't had the Greed season theme, which was double goblins. Please no, that absolutely cannot be a season theme. It would just be completely too lame. Nobody cares about double goblins whatsoever, so I'd rule that one out. Same for the Horadrim Boom, which was season 15's theme. This was double bounties. This is absolutely no point whatsoever because the Altar of Rites gives us double bounties, so again, I'm going to rule that one out. Season 16 was the first one that started to affect builds. That was the Season of Grandeur, where we got the Rogue for free. Essentially just a free jewellery slot for any set build. Does not affect Legacy of Dreams, no set bonus kind of builds particularly. Which brings me on to Season 17, which is the Legacy of Nightmares. That was when they reworked, and this was so popular back in the day that they actually added the Legacy of Dreams gem off the back of this. So it basically now is just a free legendary gem for a Legacy of Dreams build. That's all it would do. So again, not exactly an amazing season theme. Very little impact on both the Grandeur and the Legacy of Nightmares one. Triune, of course, from season 18 we can't have because that is already incorporated in the Altar of Rites. That would be stupid, just activating that and basically killing a node of the altar and having it really, really de minimis. Now, there are a couple of interesting ones left, which Eternal Conflict, I think from season 19, I think was the kill streak one. So you had to get your kills and then stuff just dropped from the sky. It didn't really add terribly much power, but obviously all those assets are in the game. And back in the day, it was fairly fun, I think, getting the kill streaks. Some of them, I think, hit pretty hard. And then we've also got season 21, the Trials of the Tempest, which again, I think this was on the kind of rotation every so often. We got the kind of elemental attack thing, a lot of lining up of snowballs. Well, I wasn't a big fan of this, but again, it's at least a mechanic that is in the game. Another one potentially that could come back is the 800 Paragon cap, I think from a few seasons ago, before we started redoing the season themes. I think that would be quite poor. It would be fun in terms of the equal footing for pushing pretty much is there in terms of Paragon. It just becomes a grindy gear fest. So the bosses would still have a big advantage even with the 800 Paragon cap, but the advantage would be like way less because they wouldn't be hitting like 7-8k Paragon in a season. But again, I'd probably rule that one out. I don't think it'd be particular. So I guess from my perspective, I'm kind of hoping that either we get the altar fully juiced up and then maybe mix in some of these season themes that we've been and gone, or we flip ourselves back to the soul shards. Now, looking at the forums and having a little bit of a scout, there's a few people, there's always somebody every season who suggests they know when the date is, they suggest they know what the season theme's going to be, and somebody on the forum suggested the season is going to be the Legacy of Nightmares one and the Rogue added together, so that way, whether you're playing a LOD build or a regular set build, you're going to get that extra little bit of juice. Now, personally, if that's the season theme, fine, we'll roll with it. I love resetting the game and playing through it, and I will, of course, do that for the season. But ultimately, it's going to be a pretty bit of a meh one, I think, because ultimately, getting one extra gem in a LOD build is not great, and getting a jewellery slot in the rest, again, is not amazing. I think even if we threw in, let's say, either the timer activation from the previous season theme with the snowballs, or the kill streaks, or double goblins, or any other kind of combination of the ones that are missing so far, aside from the Altar of Rites being fully juiced out, I think that would be a little bit of a flat, and it would certainly be the worst of the season themes that we've had. Now, if they did the Lon, the Rogue, and the Altar maxed out, so those three things, I think that would be pretty cool. I'd be quite interested in that. I think that would be enough power to satiate our blasting needs, and then that would hopefully for me be the final one, and then you just basically flip over those 6. So that one, Soul Shards, Open Cube Ethereals, Fourth Cube Clones, and then the Angelic Crucibles. Now, I kind of think, again, just complete speculation, I think we're going back to soul shards. I think we're just going to do these 5 season themes over and over again, because each season's going to last circa 3 months, 3.5 months. So I think that's basically once a year, a little bit over, you'll be able to do soul shards, maybe once every 18 months, get to do them, ethereals, open cube. I think that would work kind of well. Now, of course, there are loads of season themes that they could, if they actually wanted to pay even just an intern to do a few little bits. But I think from previous posts we've had, it looks like the kind of specialist knowledge of how to code the game is gone. So ultimately, I don't think we're ever going to get any changes to anything ever again. So whatever we kind of come up with as a season theme has to be from basically previous things. So I don't know, let me know. Is there some combination of the previous season themes that would get you super excited? Of course, there is always the dream scenario, which somebody, again, always says in the videos, and I think it'd be kind of fun for one season would be to activate multiple of these super strong season themes, but it would just end up like completely breaking the game, because if you put soul shards on top of open cube, it would just be an absolute joke. But yeah, maybe we can get some kind of combination of some of these less powerful ones added together, but honestly I still think they wouldn't be amazing. But then I suppose you could argue the 4th cube one on the clones is pretty underwhelming for most builds and most classes. So I'll say, let me know, what season theme would you like to see? Would you be happy to go back to soul shards and stick with those 5? Would you like to see a 6th season theme, either in the form of the altar being fully juiced up or some combination of those lesser season themes together? I'd be keen to know your thoughts. Of course, when we do here, I'll be making a video. We'll go through the starter sets, we'll go through the leveling guides, we'll go through the budget builds to set up, all that good stuff. We just obviously need some information. So come on, Blizzard, do the right thing. Let's launch Season 35 ASAP. I've been the Filthy Casual, guys. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy. Peace.